Well, we're moving on with Aristotle's metaphysics. We've already looked at Aristotle talking about form and matter. Now, if you remember, form is roughly the kind of thing that it is. It is a universal. Aristotle did not want to give up on universals, otherwise we wouldn't have any scientific knowledge. And matter is what makes up that thing. So you might even say that form is what a thing is, and that matter is what constitutes that thing, what's put together to make that thing. And remember, for Aristotle, there is no such thing as form without matter. There is for Plato, but Aristotle doesn't think that makes any sense. And there's no such thing as matter without form. Right? Well, Anaximander thought that was matter without form, not Aristotle. So everything that exists is a composite of matter and form. All right. Well, next we're going to look at Aristotle's four causes, and we've actually already covered two of them. Right? There are four causes altogether: the formal, the material, the efficient, and the final. Now, if you haven't guessed yet, the formal cause is the form of the thing, and the material cause is the matter of the thing. And this leads to a pretty quick point here. Do not think of cause in the sense that we think of cause today. All right? When Aristotle says cause, he means something more or less like explanation. Not, we think of cause, we think of what, in a very mechanistic sense, what happens in the physical sciences. You line up the dominoes in a row, and you knock over one domino, the next one follows. Or we think of, cause as, one car hitting another, where that'd be a cause of an accident. This isn't what Aristotle has in mind. Although, that can be a cause in Aristotle's sense, but what he means by cause is more like explanation, right? Trying to explain the thing as opposed to just figure out what was the immediate thing before it that happened. Right? So we have the formal cause, we have the material cause. The efficient cause, pretty much, even though I just got finished saying that Aristotle's not talking about the sciences the way we are, the efficient cause pretty much is what happens in a mechanistic sense. Right? The efficient cause is what brought a thing into existence, or what made that thing happen, what object made that thing happen. So with efficient causation, right, with efficient causation, we have to keep in mind here what Aristotle has in mind. Nothing can efficiently cause itself. Okay? Otherwise, there'd be all kinds of self-caused things in existence. But self-caused things, they can't exist. Right? For something to be self-caused, as far as an efficient cause, that would mean that before it existed, it caused itself to exist. But that doesn't make sense. You can't have something that does not yet exist cause itself to exist. So the efficient cause is the thing immediately before it that brings it into existence. Okay. The fourth cause is the final cause. Right? And the final cause has to do with when we might say the purpose or fulfillment of a thing. And again, you might get some weird thoughts about, some weird purpose that's added on to a thing. But no, that's not what Aristotle has in mind. We also think that if there's a purpose, then there has to be something giving the purpose, and that's not necessarily what Aristotle has in mind. I mean, he's going to talk about that later on when we get to the unmoved mover, but Aristotle concluded the unmoved mover as a result of his thought about the four causes and not the other way around. Okay? So you might think of the final cause as kind of the direction of a thing, right? What a thing is supposed to be, what is it going to be, even more precisely, even not so much what's supposed to be, but what it's going to be, absent other kinds of interference or something like that. Okay. So those are the four causes: the formal, the efficient, the formal, the material, the efficient, and the final. Strongly related to the four causes is potentiality and actuality. Okay, so let's for a moment, let's take a look at these plants here. Okay, so I snapped some of these pictures of some plants, and these plants you can see are very full, right? They're very alive. Some have flowers, and some of the plants are very green, and they sprung to life, and they're doing well. Okay. So just real quickly, you might say the form of these objects is plant, and we potted plant. And if I knew any more about botany, I could tell you which specific kinds of potted plants we have here. I think one of them is begonia, but I honestly don't know. So that'd be the formal cause, and the material cause of these plants would be the fibers that make up the plant, the water and the nutrients that the plant takes up from the ground, and the leaves that will helps it produce energy. This is all part of the material matter, and hence material cause of the plant. Okay, so now what about the efficient cause? Okay, and the efficient cause of the plant would be the seed that existed before it. Right? Seeds are not plants. Right? The seed ceased to exist, and when it as it ceased to exist in fulfilling its end, right, in fulfilling its final cause, it becomes the plant, and the plant is on its way to fulfill its end, to be the thing that it's supposed to be. Right? So we have the those four causes, and so the formal cause is the form of the plant, the kind of thing that it is. The material cause is the matter that makes up the plant. The efficient cause is the seed that immediately preceded it, and also included in that, as far as an efficient cause, would be the plants before this, the plants that are potted here, that produced that seed, right? And the person that potted the plant, that put the seed in, in the soil and let it grow, and the person who took care of the plant, these would all be efficient causes. And the final cause is, it's being what it's supposed to be, and we see a good deal of what it's supposed to be already. Now, it's not finished yet, right? There's still more of it to be, in that sense, but it's on its way. Right? And this leads us to potentiality and actuality. Right? So a seed, when we think about the seed, is potentially a plant. Right? It's not yet a plant, but it's potentially a plant. Right? And as it approaches that, right, it's actualizing. It's becoming what it's supposed to be. Okay. So I'm not familiar enough with botany to get all the examples right, but there's certain changes that a seed goes through before it becomes a plant. Right? And the plant that you see is on its way to becoming what it's supposed to be. Okay. Here we have some pictures of plants that are on the way. They're still small. Okay. So we have the small plant here, and then we have the fuller plant here. For another example, here's a bush, right? And it's on its way to being a big bush. So here's a picture of the bush as it is now. You can see it's still small, it's still short, and here's a picture of the bush as it's going to be. Right? As it, the small plant as it is, the small bush as it is now, is in potentiality, right? And the big bush that we see now is more towards the actuality. Okay, so the more that something becomes what it's supposed to be, it's in actuality. The more, or to the extent that it's not yet what it's supposed to be, it is in potentiality. Now the process from going from potentiality to actuality is generation. This is a thing moving towards its fullest being. Okay. Now sometimes objects move away from their fullest being as they die, right? Specifically as they die. So as something moves away from being, as it moves away from its actuality, right? That's corruption. That's corruption. So actuality and potentiality are strongly linked to the four causes that Aristotle's talking about, specifically dealing with the final cause. Now Aristotle is going to, thinks that all change can be described using these concepts, the four causes of potentiality and actuality. So think about this as we compare these ideas to specifically the pre-Socratics, where we saw the first attempts at trying to deal with change. So we had Anaximenes trying to deal with change, and they had some problems. Heraclitus specifically was trying to deal with change, and you remember the whole problem with change was trying to find the thing that survived the changes. How is it that it remains that thing even though there's all these changes? So what I'd like you to do is to think about, okay, what's Aristotle's answer here? What is surviving these changes? What is it that exists that's not identical to the changes, but underlies all the changes? And we'll talk about those answers in class.